See, I thought about that when I was younger. I liked the name Paige. Here, this is that other podcast I was telling you about. One of the names on there, Paige Turner. Paige Turner. Nope, that's a porn star. That is a stripper name. Cage.
Yeah. And because you said Cage, I was like, oh, he's just prepping him for the fucking shit he's gonna be living in the rest of his childhood.
Jail.
Yeah, fucking child jail. Cage.
It's not fun.
Maybe because it's Valentine's Day, we talk about that the whole time. Because why the fuck not?
So, just like, I mean, we don't have to talk. We can talk about like, how I talked about it, like the stuff that we said. I wish I would have remembered that fucking Leopold quote.
Fuck it.
I mean, we can. We don't have to. We can talk. We can talk about like some of the significance of it, and then talk about like a story like on each of our own aspects that are.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is like, actually like.
It's
so
so
romantic.
beautiful.
It's like
It's
that's what I mean.
beautiful.
Like,
It's
I don't know.
gorgeous.
So, all right, you wanna?
Welcome back to Infinity Outdoors. Today is Valentine's Day.
Woohoo!
Yeah, woohoo! Single dudes don't celebrate it.
I mean, it's not that we wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that we would.
Hey, man,
It's just,
I was close this year.
Yeah, I'm sure we all were.
I think it's just like, yeah, there's no resentment towards Valentine's Day except the fact that we do not really celebrate it in that sense. Although I feel like we would both not be opposed.
Yeah,
But
sure
there's
both.
no resentment in it, despite
No.
our jokes. So like, if you are listening and you are by chance celebrating, there's no ill intent towards that. Just
getting your love on.
brag about it, I guess. That's the way to
Talk
do it.
about how
But
you went into the rut. I don't give a fuck.
I think because of Valentine's Day, I think we should talk about romanticize the outdoors and the romantics of it.
It really is a beautiful place. If you guys have never been there, you just walk out your door.
You go out about 9:00 in the summer.
Yeah.
That's usually a good time to do it. I mean, I think it's kind of funny to talk about, but like it's one of those things that you don't necessarily think of as being romantic in all aspects, and then the more you get into it, the more you realize necessarily like the beauty in things. I mean, I'll call myself out. I'm a very, very big sunrise and sunset guy. Like, I know there's a lot of things like that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a big, as I told you earlier before we started recording, I'm a big poetry guy. I might not look like it from my large, burly frame, but
I mean, I get it because I really enjoy like a solid picture or like kind of clipped little movie, like a minute or two long, that actually just encapsulates, you know, the environment around, for you to be able to take all that in, because it truly is a picture can say 1,000 words, or a picture whatever. But I mean, they do those little fragments of time, those little clips, they really do just depict the utmost just beauty that is actually right in front of us whenever we walk outside.
You see it on social media, and it's a blessing and a curse. But like, how often do you see these majestic videos of the Smokies or the Grand Tetons, Sawtooths, anything?
And I mean, people do sauce them up like a lot.
That is true, but like, there's, I have clips saved in my phone on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I have some that I saved in my camera roll that I've like gone back to, that are just like, there's this. It's not always about hunting and fishing either. It's, there's a sunrise over.
It's about being there in the moment.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. And
this feels weird. I feel like we're personifying the outdoors. Like, is this just
but
Mother Nature woman that's just 10 out of 10 a baddie?
12 out of 10.
12 out of 10. I mean,
you
he's
see
not
what
wrong.
you see what
Mother Nature,
they're given. But I think that, like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because like there's a lot of people that, if you don't, from my experience at least, like, people can't always find beauty in like I don't know why I'm gonna struggle in an inanimate object, or like a scenescape, or they can't find it if it's not like a again, like, good looking woman, or animals, anything like that. Whereas I can't tell you how many sunsets I have from pictures I have from when I went out duck hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I have pictures. I've gone out alone before, and woke up late on my way out there, and like the sunrise on a certain morning was just like I was like I know I'm
Just
running late, but I'm
perfect.
like I have to stop and take a picture of this
Yeah.
because like I a lot of people there are some people in the world that I can honestly say I don't think they will ever appreciate a sunrise because they don't want to be up there early, and I
That's
understand that.
also facts. Yeah.
I do understand that there's people that love sunsets, but
Mm-hmm.
there's people that at a certain point they might go to bed before the sun starts to set due to work or they're working during it, anything
Yeah.
like that. I've worked through many sunsets. I've worked through sunrises.
Well, I think even beyond like a sunrise or a sunset, I mean, there are some incredible things that you will feast your eyes on. Like for instance, during the early to mid season, at least here in Michigan, whenever you're deer hunting, there's that chance of that first snow,
Yeah.
that's gonna fall. And when you are in a tree stand or in a box and you're looking at all the trees around you, you got like this much just snow just kind of floating on everything, and it just looks it really kind of looks like a fairy tale wonderland, whenever you see all that. And even in any kind of weather condition, it's all unique, and it all just kind of brings out something specific and something that just kind of jumps out at you, like, and you're just in awe because you're just taking it all in, and it's almost like it's not real, but you're there. I mean, it's real.
See, there's obviously we live in northern Michigan.
Yeah.
Um,
We
most
we get graced
years,
with all four seasons.
most years we get constant snow. This year's kind of been
Yeah, this has been an off year.
it's been a weird winter.
We don't have any snow on the
we got
ground.
all the snow we were gonna get in 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
I mean it's been cold, but I've always, I mean I talked about it in college, in like psychology classes that delve deeper into it, or environmental classes that I took that, just the calmingness. If you've never been out in the middle of the woods when there's half a foot of snow on the ground and there's
Mhm.
still snow coming down, that's just a different like creature all in itself because
It's almost like you can hear the snow falling next to you.
you can't, well, most of the time you can't. That luckily, and the other thing is we don't live in a high traffic area. There's never a lot of vehicles, anything like that.
Yeah.
But the snow, it's just it absorbs so much that there is a science behind it. I didn't pay that much attention in college to tell you about it, but when you're out in the woods, if there's snow and it's falling and there's snow on the ground and you just stop and listen, you can hear that just little. You can hear it falling off the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always found kind of like as we were talking about this earlier, trying to discuss our topic, it's that like sense of just like, wow, everything is calm.
Yeah, everything
Everything
is
is
zen right now.
Everything is as it should be.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no chaos. There's no, noise pollution. There's no
Mhm.
anything like this right now. And like
It's
you can just
straight
kind of like
raw outdoors.
it's
Yeah. It's almost like meditating.
yeah. And I think like moments like that, it's almost like it's like an art. Like you're living in
Yeah.
in that art.
We're living in a simulation, but it's actually real.
You
I
know,
mean, and there's health benefits to that too.
Yeah.
I mean, if like for some of the river fishermen, right? If you are on a larger river and you're fishing, whether you are, bottom bouncing or floating, or if you're in a boat, doesn't matter. But the second that you are sitting there and you can hear that rushing water, like just continuously, your mind actually reacts to that, and your blood pressure kind of levels out. Your heart rate will level out. Like I don't know what it is about the sound of water, but somewhere in our mind psychologically, it just actually auto corrects your stress level and like just mediates it.
it's like
and
that.
so,
It's like that white noise.
Yeah.
You know, just think about people listen to audio of a rainforest or waves or anything like that. That it's just it's another one of those like calming aspects, and like we primarily talk about like the hunting and fishing aspect of it, but this is, you can think about this from people. Think about the people that hike.
Yeah.
People will get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to walk 2 hours up a mountain just to watch a sunrise, just to see the world from like that perspective.
I feel like hikers are like at the top of the pyramid when it comes to people who actually envy the earth and the environment as a whole.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying this to be like an ass, really, but it's almost like they're jealous that they won't be that beautiful. Like they have that passion to want to be up there and see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna repeat that just in case, any hikers come after us or anything like that. They'll come after you and not me.
All right.
But
I mean, I figured
no,
we were this together, but I guess I'll just be on my own.
I do get what you're saying. It's kind of like,
and I'm not saying that they shit. I'm not saying that they do envy the world and they are comparing themselves, but it's almost like they have that drive, like it's stemming from that because they just want to see it and they want to just be a part of it.
Right. No, I guess
so they are at like the top of the fucking pyramid when it comes to the appreciation level.
I was just trying to set you up to fail a little
don't
bit.
Set me up like that. What's wrong with you?
No, like going back to it, there's you get up to there's I don't know how many times that I can count that you get up to go bass fish and it's first thing in the morning, you're leaving before dark.
Oh, those are always the best.
And if you time it up proper and you're on the water, you could be rigging something up. You could be rigging up a frog to start topwater fishing in the morning or anything like that.
Just enough light and the sun hasn't come above the trees
yet. You have enough light to see what you're doing. You still may be using your phone flashlight, anything like that. And then the sun's kind of coming up and you're getting to your spot. And it's just that for the water is just glass.
Oh, yes.
I think glassy water is one of my like top things. I'm like, man, that's just badass. There's no other way to say it.
It's just perfect.
And I think respecting that, like as I was telling you, I wish I could remember the quote in full, but that there's a Aldo Leopold quote that is like we view nature in the same aspect as we view art, like it being pretty before anything else.
Yeah.
There's nowhere close to the quote. There's a couple words in there that are similar, but I think like if you can do that, if you can view nature and the outdoors as an art, most people consider art to be one of the most romantic things.
Mm-hmm.
If you view nature as art, whether you're just talking about a glassy water, like we hunt and fish, and there's a lot of people that say, well, like you're tampering with that art, you're taking fish out of it, you're taking animals out of it. Like there's more respect in going out and being in nature and doing that than it might seem to somebody from the outside.
I mean, honestly, I feel when I am in a tree or when I am in, blade grass and the harvest that I just made is just laying in front of me, when I can touch the body of that animal, the second that I lay hands on it, it's almost like what's left of them like becomes a part of me, because I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that feeling I had when, I made the decision, okay, this is my harvest. I'll never forget the feeling I had when they were right in front of me, still breathing those last breaths that they were going to take, and respecting the fact that I'm taking a life to provide for lives that are, I guess,
not more important but closer.
Yeah, like
I get where you're going with it, and I'm trying to think of how you would word it too, and I don't know how you would.
Not that animal's life isn't crucial in any way, because it is, but I'm providing for our life.
It's more you respect that animal, like it's that animal is beauty in itself, but like when you take it out, like you're not doing it like, oh, I'm gonna gun it down, I'm gonna shoot it, and I'm not gonna have any second thought about it.
Yeah.
There are people out there. I'm not a fan of those people. Not many people are.
Yeah, like there are a few people that just go out there and kill, and they'll just strip it down and be like, all right, we got back straps, and that's it. Like, they don't even take the rest of it.
And there's people that won't even do that. They just kill it to kill it.
But
That's a whole another
yeah, and I think that's my favorite part, when it comes to, hunting or fishing. The second that you have that animal, that species, whatever it is that you have, like, at arm's length, I almost feel like that I'm related to them. Like, it's almost in that transaction of life.
It's a respect. It's a mutual respect.
I mean, and it's so, like, it's hard to even want to call it respect, because it's, like, much deeper than that.
Right.
Almost like a love story.
That's
Valentine's Day.
Okay. But I think of it like, so, say you go out and you're deer hunting and you get an old buck with your bow.
Yeah.
When you get up to it, you track it, you find everything. And through all that, you're not thinking, man, that I just want to find it. Like, I want it now. You might not be thinking, man, that was a super beautiful thing. And then you get up to it, and it's an older deer. You can see it's got
it's like
all the color on it. You can see that
immediate.
it's been through some shit.
Yeah.
It's, it's an old bruiser of a buck, something like that. You get up on it, and you kind of lay your eyes on it, and you're like, that.
You almost had the feeling that you want to cry, but, like, you don't. You know what I mean? Like,
if taking in that beauty is like,
it's surreal, really.
yeah. There's not, going up and you appreciate everything that led that animal to be in front of you. Like, that animal's life before you was it.
It was a cycle.
It was a cycle.
They lived a life like we do.
Right.
They have their own.
They have their own growth. They have their own struggles. They have their own this. Obviously,
I can't.
I understand. Oh, got some video issues.
No, we didn't.
So, got a little off track, on down a track, but that you get that mutual respect for the animal because you know that they lived up to that point, and you appreciate everything that they did to get there. And I wish when I graduated college, I was like, man, what's your dream job? I was like, man, I really like psychology, but I know I went to school for environmental science. I'm like, man, if I could ever have
good old psychology,
if I could ever be a psychologist for animals,
that would be really interesting.
That's something that maybe in 1,000 years, if there's still animals left, sure, maybe somebody will figure out how to read the mind of a deer. But it just it just makes me think, like, we have all these thoughts every day of everything that we go through, everything that we appreciate. We're talking about the romantics of the outdoors, the sunrise, the sunset.
Yeah.
Animals, they're not going to stop and stare at something because they think it's beautiful. A sunrise and a sunset for deer is like, that's your clock.
Yeah,
and
exactly. That's their external and internal clock.
I see it online, and I've never done the research to see if it's true or not, but there was a thing that I've seen a couple times where bears actually will, like, sit, and they sit in a way that looks like they're admiring everything in front of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just going off of the internet, which you can't really trust. But
facts.
Like, things like that, like, can you imagine if you're going out deer hunting, or you're going out hunting in some sort of fashion, and you climb into your tree stand and sun's going down, and all the deer just come out and they just stop and, like, take into account everything that's going on around them.
I mean, they kind of do anyway, because they're already, like, checking their surroundings. But I understand what you mean, though, because, like, if they actually just stopped and just kind of
imagine
gazed,
they're taking in the moment like you're taking it in.
Yeah.
And I know I'm preaching some fantasy world right now of
that would be so
unicorns
cool,
and mythical beasts.
I
having
unicorns are badass. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, there's no open season for them, so. It's just it's one of those things that you take in a lot being in the outdoors. You take in, the respect. You learn so much about animals that
And not even that, you learn so much about the terrain, the environment itself, and
Mhm.
like how dangerous it actually is,
Oh yeah.
and how much like you actually have to respect that danger. And because as a hunter or angler, you are in that element. Like you are no longer in the protection of civilization. Like you are in it.
Yeah. The only
So
protection you will have is yourself and
exactly.
in whatever element it may be in.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of as I said, we live in northern Michigan. We really don't have predators or anything like that. There's not a lot of harm for us to walk out of the woods.
Yeah.
When we went to Texas, I gained such an appreciation for the guys down there because as we were walking through like a clay flat with Dalton, he's like, "Yeah, make sure you slide your feet because if you kick a stingray, they'll move, but if you step on it, they'll stab you." Or when he reached over his fence trying to find his hose and grabbed onto a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
I'm like, we went fishing the one night and he's like shining a flashlight as we're walking out, and he's like, "Yeah, it's usually a gator down there, but he's not down there tonight." I'm like, why are we doing this right now? Like,
Mhm.
if I go out into the woods, the worst thing that I'm gonna see in the woods is skunk.
Yeah. And you're just gonna smell bad for
Yeah.
a little while.
You might get hissed at by a raccoon. That
Mhm.
raccoon's not. They're not gonna do anything. You're safe.
Yeah.
When you walk into the woods, 9 times out of 10, unless you're in a certain area, you are the top of the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
Down there, you're just going into it.
Yeah. You're just another piece of meat to be eaten.
Yeah.
Or to be poisoned.
And you're still high up, but there's so much more like
Yeah.
danger in it. And I found like when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, I don't want to be out here right now because like we were walking around picking up shells, not a second thought in my mind. I'm just grabbing stuff out of the grass. He's like, make sure you're watching where you're grabbing because there might be snakes tucked in the bushes. I'm like, I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I find like that's just one of those things. It's like, man, you really appreciate like
Yeah.
everything that's going on here.
And especially being in such a low predatorial area.
Yeah.
We get it easy. We that's one thing we just don't have to worry about, because I can remember, living in Texas as a kid. We would always have to be checking every nook and cranny, every bank of the 2 ponds that we had for snakes. And I wouldn't say that, I had this like imminent fear the whole time, but it was definitely lingering.
It's always in the back of your head that it's a possibility.
And once you're there and live in it for a while, and how Dalton, just reached over and grabbed one by accident, it becomes that.
Yeah.
And that's how like accidents happen, because you're just like, okay, I've always been here. I've always, been checking, like there hasn't been one here. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's one here.
Yeah.
And so you're just kind of blinded to, your surroundings.
I don't want to say you become complacent, but you become you
Impartial
acknowledge
to it
it,
almost.
but yeah, you become impartial to it because you're like, I know there's a possibility of it.
Yeah. But it hasn't presented itself.
Yeah, what's going to happen if there is? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to deal with that. And I love that for up here
Mm-hmm.
because walking into the woods at night and not having to worry about anything except maybe stepping on a stick that smacks me in the shin.
Mm-hmm.
Or smacking a branch off the face when you're not looking where you're going.
Yeah,
Stuff
something
like that. It's your biggest concern.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that I get that. But if I ever want to move to Texas, if I ever want to move to Florida, which no offense to Florida, I will never move to Florida unless I'm paid to do so.
Yeah. That's true.
They have so much more to deal with, and I feel like, for them, I feel like that also gives them that same, like, I went out today, I was duck hunting, saw a gator, saw a snake, saw this, saw that. And it reminds me more of that, like, you can really take in the beauty of nature because you get to watch it all unfold.
Yeah. Like right before your own eyes.
And it'll happen when you're not there. But if you're not there to see it, you can be like, I'm not going to appreciate that. Then you see it and you're like, that's pretty cool. When I went to Tennessee to duck hunt, and we're hunting over this field, shot ducks that were on the ice and swimming out because they were wounded. We had a bald eagle like circling and it would watch where the ducks would fall, and if the bald eagle would attempt to get there before the dog did, and there was one duck that got away and was diving under. Watch that eagle circle for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, I have never seen that before, and I'm like, that's badass. It's just
kind of like that saying, like, does a bear shit in the woods? Well, we don't know, but we were there.
Yeah.
We saw it. And so, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. There's so much that, and I feel like the people that like will watch like a Discovery Channel or like a National Geographic and they'll like see the clips of this shit. It's like, okay, it's so cool. No, be there one time.
Yeah.
Be there one time and see it first person, and you will actually acknowledge the real danger and beauty combined. It's like yin and yang, just the combination of both just happening every day outside beyond what you see in your everyday life, which I'm sure is probably a 9-to-5 job, or going to school, if you're in high school or college. Like you don't just see that
Right.
Every day in your normal way of life.
Well,
And so
again, Valentine's Day.
yeah,
You
Valentine's Day.
find a love for that.
Yeah.
Like, you find a love for the stuff that you don't see every day. I can count on 2 occasions, and that is it, to my at least clear memory, that I've ever seen a fox.
Yeah.
And they're in the same spot, like in town. And both of the times, this is kind of where it gets it's cheesy if you want. But both of the times I saw that fox was like I was having, issues on my own about stuff. And like I saw that, I'm like, damn. The first time I saw it was, I want to say not long after my grandpa passed or something similar. I had a experience like that. And I saw that and I was like, it's just at peace with everything. And the second time I saw it, same thing. I was driving late one night and just having one of those like late night drives, and it very well could have been the same fox because it was in the same exact spot. And it was the same thing again. I saw it and I'm like, everything will probably it's gonna be good. I'll figure it out. And it's just one of those, like, you take instances like that and you take them in. You can take them in for what they are. Hey, I saw a fox.
Yeah.
And there are people that are conditioned to that.
Mm-hmm.
As we were just talking, there's people where we were hunting at that they're conditioned to snakes and alligators and the dangers of it. We don't have that danger aspect. What we do have, for me, because of that, we see a big buck cross on the road. There's no, like, yeah, you get excited. You're like, oh, damn, that was a big deer.
Mm-hmm.
But there's every now and then you get a big deer crossing the road, and you're like, that deer has been running for a while.
Been through the ringer, man.
And like for me, that fox, that's what that fox was. It's like I found like an appreciation for it, because I'm like, there's a time that if there was any time for me to like see something and appreciate it, it was right then. And I'm like, okay, I like that. That it made me feel a little better. And I might not have thought that at that exact moment, but I've carried it with me. And like that's the stuff for me that like I do, fall in love with the outdoors. And as we had both previously mentioned, not to beat a dead horse, we are both single.
Thanks.
We'll let that one moment of silence for that. But in my mind, one of the things, like, I have that appreciation. I got to witness that. I get to witness all the stuff that I witness.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're, when you get to that, you have such an appreciation for it. And from my perspective, I don't know if this is any different from you. When I see something like that, sometimes the first thing that pops into my head is like, that's badass. But it'd be even more badass if I had, a significant other, a bro. You got a little bromance going, there's stuff like that you see that you don't want to be the only one to experience it.
That right there, I feel like is something that I think about and not necessarily struggle with, but can, I guess, empathize with, because there are so many instances where it's like, why am I the only one here? Why can't you or any one of my other closer friends, or if I wasn't just I guess ugly and unattractive, to have a girlfriend with me and she'd be like, wow, babe, look at that, and then it becomes a moment, and then it breeds romance. It really does.
Yeah.
When you think about it honestly, when okay, think of an instance, right? You're like, oh, maybe you're in like the Petoskey area. For those who don't know where Petoskey's at, it's like on the north west.
It's up here.
Yeah, but it's on the coast, okay, of Lake Michigan, and there are a lot of awesome scenic parking areas that you can just actually enjoy the coastline. And I can remember like going on a few dates, with a couple of girls in the past, where it's like, oh, we grabbed lunch and we've just been hanging out and drive around seeing things, and then going and parking there. And it's like, in that moment when both of you are just there and just encapsulated in this just coastal environment, and you're not even paying attention to any of the cars or anything that's going on behind you, but you're just taking in everything that's in front of you. It literally breeds like a sense of romance, because the way you guys talk to each other, the topics you guys talk about, and you may even get some like hand holding and kissing in there. I mean, it really does happen. I'm like, I wish I would be lying, but I'm not. Like, I can't think of being in a place within a town or a city, or in an environment of such, around civilization, and that just happening.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Because when you're there and you're a part of nature, and you're actually enjoying what's happening around you, it does. It just cultivates this just weird, raw romance between you and whoever is with you, because it becomes sentimental at that point. I totally get what you mean when you say you would just wish you had someone there to share it with.
So for me, like as you're talking, I've brag about it. I've never had a date like that. I've had exes that I've hunted with.
Yeah.
But no offense to them, I know they did not appreciate it the same way that I did, and that's no dirt on them or anything like that. That's just not the same thing. They weren't into it the same way I was. I'm gonna give props. I'm gonna hate doing it because I know they're gonna give me shit for it, but we have some friends that I would say are pretty encapsulated pretty well the point that I'm trying to make. They hunt together, they duck hunt together. I've duck hunted with them both. They seem to be having way more fun than anybody else does. They go fishing together. Most of the time they seem to be having more fun.
I hate that I know exactly who you're talking about, because I swear this kid's life is like the apex of living life.
Yeah, it's not bad. But again, I can already hear it. He's gonna give me so much shit. But
we're not gonna say his name. I'm gonna wait for that individual to look at it and be like, I bet you they're talking about me. Just let him build an ego.
Yeah. They,
he won't build an ego. He's not like that. He's pretty humble.
Not. Trips they've taken, experiences that they've had together, like the pictures that I got from when they went to the UP to go like smallmouth fishing.
Okay, so just give it away.
He already knows. Like the first two smallmouth she ever caught, like he was there with her.
Yeah.
And they were both tanks, of course. Both of them. They don't need any more luck. They're doing just fine, so they could share some of it. However,
but I mean, beyond that, like you just said, it was her first smallmouth catch.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how does that moment not breed like an even deeper romance?
Yeah.
Right there.
It gives a memory. It gives sentiment to where you were at that time. the time and place and everything like that.
It's unforgettable, really.
And I've met people that I've had those moments with. Not all significant other type. Just random people, got both men and women, that I'm like, this is a pretty cool experience, and I'm glad that you're here to share it with me. In both a sense of romance and sense of like, you meet a you're out fishing, you're at the boat launch, and you're sitting there waiting in line. Like I have memories of sitting in line at a boat launch and a guy coming up and being like, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you just you guys have been waiting. You go ahead of me." That kindness aspect goes in with it. And you find like everybody is trying to appreciate it all at once.
Yeah.
And that's kind of there's that kindness. I'm not going to think about that guy and wish I would have got his number.
Yeah.
But like you're like, I appreciate you being kind. We're both out here trying to enjoy the lake. We're both out here trying to you're trying to have a day with your family. I'm having a day fishing with my buddies. We're just out here to enjoy everything.
Yeah.
We both love the lake. This is where we want to be.
It's almost like an unidentified community that's just not recognized, and it's everyone who is out in the outdoors, enjoying what there is to see and do and take part in. So I think, yeah, that's major.
Yeah.
I mean, I can relate to the whole boat ramp story. There are so many people. I mean, for the most part, it usually is, people that are of older age that just have nothing, like they just feel like they have nothing but time.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us young people are just racing against time. It feels like, as far as like a general observation.
Yeah.
And they just let us all go. They're like, go, we want you. But I also, really appreciate that, because they know that we're not racing time. We just are always in a hurry for no reason. And they have that down pat.
They have the experiences that we're trying to like chase.
Yeah. And so like, they understand that time is just going to go on and they don't need to be there right now. And they're like, they want, they're aiming to get those memories, that action of being in the outdoors. We're going to let you guys go. And so I applaud all the, mid to older age people that just are looking out for, us young people to just get out there and, enjoy and see. So
I think you did raise a good point too about like, there are a lot of our generation. A lot of us are rushing.
Yeah.
We want to be everywhere at once. We want to experience everything at once. And I think being in nature and finding that love for nature and everything, like it helps you slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you take in everything that's around you. Like it helps you find a respect for that deer. Mm-hmm. It helps you, watch the sunrise from behind you as you're duck hunting over a pond. It helps you, respect the fact that sun's about to go down, the fish are going to start biting, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'll wait another hour to watch the sunset and, fish with the sunset behind me.
Mm-hmm.
It does, you find, it's small things like that you find when you're out there that you're like, okay, I don't need to be in a hurry from right here. Like I can take time in and appreciate everything that is in front of me right now. And I think like that, again, I keep saying it and I keep going back to it. You fall in love with that aspect of nature when you actually do slow down.
Yep.
And you look around and, you find the peace in it. You find the, as I said, going back to the being able to experience, that coastal sunset with a person that, you're in love with.
Mm-hmm.
I find like times like that, or that time is that like, it reminds me, for me personally, when you go out into the woods, when it's snowing, there's snow on the ground, and everything else around you just kind of, there's no outside noise, there's no chaos, there's no nothing. you kind of just take a deep breath and you're like,
Everything's right.
everything is as it should be in this
As
moment.
it should be.
And you take it in for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I strive for that, you know, type of relationship.
But I can feel like just the sheer fiery passion, you know, when we both talk about this.
Yeah.
I really feel like we both have
6
like
feet,
a serious
please, but
dude. Yo, there's no way. Okay, fuck it. I won't say anything nice anymore. I'll just be a dick. I don't know.
I know what you mean. Like, it's hard not to.
You tragically screwed that. I hope you know that. You ruined that. That was such a wholesome moment, and you said, "Fuck you."
I get what you mean though. Like, it's
So much for Valentine's Day.
When you find that, like, you find that hunting buddy, you find that fishing buddy, that you both have the same appreciation for it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to experience it together, you're both, you know how guys are. Guys won't say anything like, damn, that sunset looks beautiful right now.
Yeah.
But you kind of get like, you catch both people looking at it at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like when you're out with your buddy at a sporting event and a pretty girl walks by, you know, you
both kind of just like
you don't always say anything to each other, but you kind of like catch a glimpse and you're like, nice.
Yeah. But then, like, in time, you know, as time goes on and maybe, you know, you were both present and, you know, you're talking about some time that, you know, you had doing whatever outdoor activity it was that you were doing. And then that one other dude that you were with in that moment pipes up and was like, yeah. And it was just actually so beautiful to see. And then in your mind, you're like, oh, we were
on the same page.
We were on the same wavelength, for sure.
We were firing at the same point.
So, I mean,
it's because I've talked about it before. Brendan,
yeah.
Big fishing buddy of mine.
Yeah.
One moment that's like similar to me is when we went up to Lake Leelanau, the story I told last time. And same thing, sun's starting to go down. And we're not talking about the sunset. We're throwing topwater, trying to catch smallmouth.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I'm fishing at one point, and I look over, and he's taking a picture of the sunset.
Yeah.
And then, you know, about 5 minutes go by, gets a little darker, sky changes shade a little bit. We're both taking pictures of it. And it's, you don't say anything about it. It's like...
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly. I mean, in that sense, it really is like you don't talk about it, you don't ask about it, but you both understand that you are appreciating what's in front of you at that moment.
Because, you know, we both have a picture of the sunset from the same night on the same lake while we were in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
We have never once talked about that story and talked about the sunset.
Yeah. It's always about what, you know, you experienced, you know, while you were fishing, but
if, you know, that picture pops up in my memories,
yeah.
like, hey, you were here on this date, and I see the sunset before I see the pictures of the fish the same day, I'm like, that was a damn good day of fishing. Mm-hmm. That was a damn fun time. And, you know, that's what I think. You know, I have pictures of sunrise over a pond that I didn't shoot a damn duck on for 3 hours.
Yeah, there have been a few of those.
I have, you know, videos of a pond where it's a straight white out. We got a pile of ducks on the ground, everything like that. If I only see the picture from the weather that day, or we just say, like, remember that time we went duck hunting and it started snowing real bad?
Yeah.
Like, you take in everything that's going on. Like, you know, it was windy, it was cold, it was miserable. The weather sucked. But when you can find beauty in that moment of, like,
mm-hmm.
you know, this is kind of, you know, I know you're indifferent about it. I love to duck hunt in the rain.
Yeah.
Like, if it's nice, sunny, bright outside, I'll go and I'll appreciate everything in that morning. But then I like look at the weather and I'm like, oh, we're supposed to get 5 inches of rain in an hour. I mean, I'll go see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the best days of the day I got my best looking wood duck to this date.
Yeah.
You don't
even have to tell me because I already know what day that was because I was experiencing the same weather, just hunting a different hunt.
Yep.
But we were literally what, 2 miles
2 miles
apart.
apart.
But in that moment, we were just in it. I mean, it was raining super hard.
I had water in my waders.
Yeah.
I had my waders, a sweatshirt, a jacket, and I think my sweatpants under my waders were wet, like down to my knees from how hard it was raining.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first wood duck that came in, the first drake that I got, came in, and I had sat out there for like an hour in the rain before I saw a single bird.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, maybe I should just pack it up and leave. And I was like, you know what? No. I'm out here at this point. I have waited, and it's either going to happen or it's not, and I'm going to accept whether it does or not. And that first wood duck came in, and I remember shooting it, and that was the only... I could have left with that bird. And
Right.
I remember that is one of those times where I sat out there by myself in the pouring rain with nobody to share it with. But I remember shooting that wood duck, and I was like, this is why I sat out here.
No.
I know this hunt sucked up until this point. And then I got 2 more drakes that were even better looking. And I'm like, it could have been raining piss for all I care. If I would have had this opportunity, I would have done it again.
No, don't let him lie to you. He shared the moment with me because he was close enough I could hear him shoot every bird. And I was in a tree stand because I was hunting a specific buck that was in an area at that time. And
I asked you to go duck hunting too.
And I told him no because of that buck, because I had been tracking him in an area and knew kind of his movements. And so I was taking a chance because it was raining. And I know that those low pressure times, just for whatever reason, just entice all animal movement.
In all fairness, I didn't know it was supposed to rain that hard.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. I thought it was going to be just like a low pressure system that was just going to bring some moisture. No,
it was a straight torrential downpour.
Yeah, it was just insane.
And it rained like that for hours because we duck hunted that next morning.
Yep.
Or goose hunted or duck hunted, one of the two, because I remember we had to drive back to the pond at like 11 o'clock at night because my calls had fallen out of my pocket when I was leaving.
Yep.
Or I hung them up when I was getting all my ducks, and they were still hanging there, and it was still raining bad. And we went out the next morning. I don't even remember where we went the next morning.
I don't either.
But we went out there and it was still raining. And even when I went out there, I was like, this is where I sat. I sat right here when those birds came in. I can tell you the angle they came in. I can tell you what they did. You think about it as like, man, I got some wood ducks, but holy hell did it rain that day. But then when you like sit back on it, you're like, I really appreciated that it rained that day. Like it just makes that moment that much more memorable. Like if I went out there, oh yeah, it's overcast. That's around here later in the year. That's every day.
Yep.
But that day, I'm like, it's torrential pour. I'm out there alone, cold,
That was like
wet.
That was like a mid-October rain too. Like, and it was weird. It was like unseasonably warm too. Like it was in like the 40s, 50s, and it was just raining coming down. So I mean, in lieu of all that, and actually being able to, enjoy, respect, and form connections and love the environment, and what you're hunting for, and to learn to, I guess, become one with wherever you're at and just take in everything at once and learn to respect that. I guess this Valentine's Day is all right, because at least I know that I'll always have that passionate relationship and respect and appreciation for the outdoors and every chance I get to go enjoy it either by myself or with hunting buddies and be who I am, which is a hunter angler. So I mean,
it's anymore. Everybody talks about like you're at our age, like when are you gonna find a girlfriend? When are you gonna find somebody for Valentine's Day? And like conversations like this make me think, as much as I would love that,
I am perfectly okay.
I'm okay with the one the main love right now being the love for fishing, hunting, nature in a whole. And, sometimes you take that for granted. You don't always think. When I woke up this morning, I wasn't thinking about, man, do I love fishing right now.
Yeah.
Man, do I love nature. It's not nice outside. It's cold. It's, gloomy. But like this conversation,
But you get to reflect on it.
the reflections that you can make on it, you're like, you know what? No,
Yeah.
I love what I've got going. I love what's around me.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, one day I would love to find somebody that I love to share those experiences with.
But I mean, hell, for right now, being able to do it yourself and with the buddies you got that hold the same level of respect and appreciation for it, that's good enough for me right now.
Because I think that's the other thing too, is like you have to as I know, you gotta love the homies too. Everybody makes jokes about it, but like
Yeah.
you think like we're mid-20s. 10 years from now, we might hunt together once a year.
Yeah.
Twice a year if we're lucky. Go fishing once or twice a year.
We'll have kids or, a wife, and we'll be doing things.
We'll have our own lives.
Exactly. And so right now is the time we've got.
Yeah. We've been pretty fortunate for the memories that I think we've made up to this point to like be able to look back on, but I would like to, say that as much as I love everything that's gone, I really want to appreciate everything that's, coming before those times do come where, that family, the family becomes more important. Your job, I have a job where I work a lot. I didn't get to make as many memories this year as I usually do.
Right.
So looking back now on the year I had before where, our boss let us out at 11 o'clock so we can go fish a lake that he has a tournament on.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that much more now than I did at the time.
Yeah. So, happy Valentine's Day.
It is Valentine's Day.
And more than loving your significant other, love yourself and, appreciate what you've got in front of you right now.
And love your surroundings.
Yeah, because it won't always be there.
And if you don't love your surroundings, you either have to try and find an appreciation for them or change your surroundings.
Yeah.
Because
time breeds change, man. Time breeds change.
And I'll end it with this quote that we were talking about before.
Okay.
About that fishing quote that I told you. The fishing is not necessarily escape from life, but a deeper immersion into it. When you find experiences such as hunting and fishing, take that into, you might think that you're getting away from everything, but make sure when you go out to get away from everything, that you dive straight headfirst into wherever you're going. Because when you find that appreciation and that love for everything around you and the experiences you're going to have, they're going to be a lot better when you remember them a year later, 2 years later.
Yep. So, I'm Cody.
I'm Cam.
And we'll catch you next time on Infinity Outdoors Timeless Memories.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Fuck Valentine's Day.